All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Bri Leever, and we are doing Community Dissection, which is a short video series where each week we gather a small group of community professionals to dissect a community that we love or hate and talk about what's right, what's wrong, what's missing, and what's confused. So this week we have with us Madeline Milne, Laura Roth, and Derek Chu. We're not going to spend too much time introducing ourselves, but we're going to have all of the details for how to get in touch with us in the notes below the video. But this week we are discussing the Notion community. So I'll kick things off because I'm not a part of the Notion community. I'm actually more new to Notion as a tool, and I have some strong feelings about how to use it or how I think it should be properly used. But I'm going to set those aside and we're going to focus on the community today. But I'm like fresh out the gate trying to figure out, how do I join this community? So I Googled Notion community. It took me to this page, which said, this page is now archived. Go to this page. So I went to this page and it was interesting. So it says, welcome to the Tools for Thought community. We're a Discord server of 10,000 members and counting. And so what was interesting to me as I kept scrolling, it seems like all the different elements of this community kind of happen in different fragmented places. So it's like, follow our blog here, attend events here, follow us here, which I don't know about you guys, but immediately for me as a community builder, I'm like, what? Don't make me do so much work. I don't know. How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, I mean, generally, I love the idea of Notion, but I have to say I'm not a convert yet, and that might produce a lot of ire from people around the world on this. But I just find it so difficult to engage with, whether it's their community or their actual offering. Quite honestly, I know that people are so sort of huge advocates of Notion and they absolutely love it, but I think the barrier to entry, whether it's the community or the actual offering, is really quite difficult. But that just might be me, and it might be, whatever. But what about everyone else?
Yeah, I feel the same in that I'm a recent kind of slight convert to Notion, and so I've just been getting used to it. And some bits I really love. I love the way you can just add blocks onto your page and just really change things up and put the different content there and everything like that. But I think it's one of those, a bit like every platform, where you have to spend time in it. But my initial thoughts on this community is, whoa, where on earth do I start? It's that overwhelming kind of straight up thing that I always say, I think for communities is you don't want to turn somebody off. What is this community for? Who is it for? And where do I start? And I think that panics me when I see this page.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, definitely. And you work out that the community is on Discord, but it's not hugely obvious from here.
There's no main call to even just join our community. It's like you kind of have to dig through. First, I see all these links and I'm like, okay, so this is Notion. It's not Notion. Is it multiple tools? Did they move the Notion community to be a broader community about tools? I'm a little confused. So Derek, did you have any thoughts on this page?
Yeah, I did. So I think for me, when it comes to Notion, similar to Madeline and Laura and your sentiments around kind of Notion being, kind of feels like they have a cult following in a lot of ways. And I've used Notion here and there, and it's awesome. For me, I've had to go into YouTube and get my tutorials there to figure out how to use it to the extent and capacity at which people talk about it. But yeah, I think it's something where there's a pretty big learning curve at first, but I think, with probably any tool, once you get the hang of it and start using it probably on a daily basis, you start to really understand the nuances of the product and some of the length of the capability of it. I'd say that when it comes to Discord communities and Discord servers, whatever you want to call it, I feel like a lot of the big communities tout how many members are on the server, a lot. And I think that's super cool. I think that's great to have 10,000 people on there. in this community, but it always gets me thinking, like, what does that 10,000 mean? Does it mean that you have 10,000 like fully engaged members? That seems pretty hard to do in any community. I also feel like when I come to this page as someone who doesn't really use Discord too much, like I've been in some servers and I've lurked a lot, it makes me feel like, damn, I have to understand Discord in order to probably be a contributing member of this community or someone who extracts value out of this community. And that's just the feeling I get when it comes to like Discord servers in general. So it makes me feel like, okay, like I need to kind of get in the know about just Discord in general as a culture, you know, and that I think as someone who wants to learn Notion and wants to be a part of a community of Notion customers and users, there's a feeling of, oh, like there's like, do I fit in? Like, because I don't use Discord that often. What is it like? What does it mean for someone like me, you know, as a Discord newbie? So those are some of the feelings that I have as I navigate this page.
Yeah.
And I think you're right with the whole thing about like building where your members are, and maybe they are all using Discord, and you know, and so it works fine for them. But yeah, I'm not sure. And I think you're totally right, Derek, about the fact that once you've got your head around Notion and how to use it, is so brilliant. It's awesome. But it's just getting past that first initial hurdle of engaging with it. And as you say, whether having a Discord community is the way to reach the potential membership base. But did you know, like, I mean, I was looking at their numbers. In 2019, they had 1 million Notion users, and now they have over 30 million. So they're doing a lot right.
Yeah.
They've got, I mean, that's just a huge following.
Which is it's worth noting, because we're a group of 4 community professionals. Like Discord is certainly a platform where people build community. It seems like but prior to this call, we literally were like, okay, nose goes on who has to join Discord. Like all of us were like, oh man, really? Do we have to? So it feels like, I mean, obviously they're doing something right, but I guess my plea, if anyone from Notion ends up watching this, is for the 4 dummies here who are like trying to figure out the tool, who like design communities for a living, but are trying to join this community. There's a lot of unnecessary barriers that I'm feeling personally. And so I think we could categorize this as something that is like missing maybe the onboarding experience, or helping people know like I've arrived at the right place, and making it feel like a little less, feels like a pretty big leap to go all the way into a Discord server and then to be clicking around in all these other places too. So, well, let's dive in. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I think, Derek, do you have access to the server?
Yeah,
okay, awesome.
Do that.
And for the purposes of the rest of this call, we'll refrain from dissecting Notion as a tool, and we'll focus on the community itself and our experience walking through it.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and accept the invite into the server.
And, you know, I should say also, let's try to stay away from dissecting Discord as a platform, and more noting like the design, like the decisions that they made. Like there are some limitations that they're going to naturally have within Discord. I think that's okay to give a nod to, but we'll try to focus mostly on how they have designed the experience within Discord.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So this is what I'm seeing as I just come in right away.
Well, that is very interesting, because I've got Notion Community.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so this Tools for Thought is not the Notion community.
Oh.
Let me, do you want me to share my screen?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Okay.
maybe there's a different landing page that we don't know about.
Can you see that?
Oh yeah. Yes.
So
Oh, this is the old one, I think, huh? Oh, no,
is
it's
it?
not. No, it's not, actually.
Huh.
It says
So
October 16th.
don't know if this is the right one, but
Weird. Okay.
it's
So I
got
guess,
the Notion branding. So
yeah,
if it's not, then
I
don't
think
know
we
who's
are
done
in
it.
I think we are in the right place, but
Only 6 months old, so it depends if they changed it. End of May.
That's the info. Then it's got a roles section. Announcements, latest announcements was the 16th of October, which seems a little bit, but it does have the Notion community team as a sign off.
No, it says they're making slight changes. Interesting. Yeah.
it seems really empty for like a tent, like I guess they're saying, do we think they just merged the Notion community under tools for thought?
That's what it feels like.
Although there's one here, 11th of November, 2022, which is today, isn't it?
But this doesn't seem super.
So there's tools for thought, the other one that, I mean, Derek, you go back to your one then. I'll stop sharing.
Yeah.
Confusion.
Yeah. Okay. I would put this squarely under what's wrong. We are like 4 very intelligent people, like not trying to toot my own horn, but like we should be able to figure out where the Notion community lives. And the fact that we're having this much trouble makes me think there's something seriously broken in their onboarding process. But let's see what does their onboarding say?
All these. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
There's something.
Get access to tool specific channels.
Oh. So is this just the community for all of these tools? Like,
yeah.
Huh.
all
And then
7
you
of
can go
these
to
tools?
Notion from it, I guess.
Okay, so what happens when you click on Notion? Can you do that? Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay.
So how, on the left-hand side, did you get added to something in Notion? Like, is there a Notion channel now? No. Okay. Oh, Notion forum. Maybe you just got added to that?
What is that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to onboarding, I think. Let's talk about the onboarding experience. So my first thought was when you enter into the home screen, there's nothing, like it immediately went to like the most recent post. And I just like, I can't handle that for the first experience coming into a community. Like, I just think like when you enter into a new space, I think of it like, what's the physical equivalent? And so to me, that seems like you're walking into like 6 lanes of traffic, like, and like you're just gonna get like completely bulldozed. So I like we knew to find the onboarding, but I think like a lot of people don't know, a lot of like average people who like, I mean, not average, just your average person doesn't necessarily know what onboarding means. I'm just gonna like make the assumption. So I think something a little bit more obvious, like start here, or just dumb it down for us, like make it a little bit simpler. Don't use internal language that people may or may not understand. And make that the first thing that happens. Don't make it so that they have to click into it. That would be my critique.
I think
So
so.
I'm just looking, I agree completely. I'm just looking back at Notion, like the official Notion community page on their website. And actually it's just, there are a hell of a lot of different communities. So there's the Discord, Notion Club, the Discord Tools for Thought, there's a Facebook, All Things Notion. So I assume these are actually communities that have been set up by Notion advocates. And so they're not necessarily the sort of official Notion. You see how if you scroll down a little bit further, join a community hosted group or forum, and then you've got all this Clubhouse, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we're on one of them.
Wow, this is
so it's communities by communities, which is, it's great in a way. Like if you just think about it from a perspective of spreading the word, they've allowed people to just, experience Notion in the places they want to, or that people are, whether that's Discord or even Facebook. I mean, I can't believe that, but anyway, yeah.
Interesting. So you got the Facebook groups, you've got Discord. For us Discord newbies.
It's very fragmented, doesn't it? So it's like, where do you start if like you're just coming into it and wanting to join?
And that's my problem in the whole thing, is where do you start? Like, it's just sort of overload of, oh, I could do this, but no, I'll try that. And yeah, if it doesn't work for you immediately, then you maybe jump onto the next thing, like go onto Clubhouse or whatever. It's just like crazy.
Which I understand this. I understand how this is like snagging everyone's attention in whatever platform they're on. So that makes sense to me. But as someone who's like, so let's say I'm like a super fan of Notion and I haven't been in a community. And so my access to the community is this like Notion community. Like I'm just trying to go to Notion to find the community. It doesn't seem like there's an easy onboarding ramp for me to like.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like they've routed everything based on the platform versus based on the profile of a new member or
exactly. Very good point.
Right, like
and what you might want to do with Notion, or what your problems might be, or whatever.
Totally. I feel like based on, I feel like as some, like for me as a community builder, it'd be cool to be like, okay, there's probably a Notion community for community builders, and if that's the case, like how do I go through that door versus like going through a door as like a Discord user or as a Facebook user or as a Twitter user? It's like, now, like I feel like a lot of people use all of those things, so it's like, how can the community team there route people based on their profile in different, I guess in more in like more of a helpful or productive way based on the work they do or what they're interested in. I kind of, that's something I'm thinking about when I'm looking at this page.
Yes. Yeah, and I guess this is a very community-led approach, right? Saying like, we're going to let our members create communities, whatever community they want, and we're going to let them roll with it. But I think the miss is in organizing and making, like, it seems like each of these communities is like, probably has their own outreach, has their own ways that they are reaching out to people, but there seems to be a disconnect with people who are coming to Notion saying like, I want to be a part of a community. And, for me, like, I just think I fall into like 20 of these. Like, I'm like, okay, what can I like? I'm like, well, Notion and automation. I would like to learn about that. Notion and Notion Twitter Notion community, Twitter Notion creators, architects community. I'm like, well, each of those kind of, there's nothing here that feels glaringly obvious to me, like, oh, I have arrived to the right place. And I think what this page does is, instead of simplifying, it just makes me really confused.
I think so. I mean, like the only one I'm looking at or actually there's a few now that are kind of becoming a little bit more clear, but still a bit kind of surface, is like Notion creators community or Notion for solopreneurs, or I guess Notion for students. That seems like a little bit more clear, like right as I'm looking at this. But a lot of this other stuff is like, Notion templates and tools, Notion for automation. I feel like hypothetically, if I were to go to those pages and join those communities, I feel like I'd be maybe going there for a little bit, and then I would be out of that community once I got what I wanted. So it's like, I don't know if that's really what I would call a community, then that's more of just like a group or something, or something along those lines. You know what I mean? So it's just all of these questions and thoughts are on our minds when we're kind of looking at this page. It's like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
quite short term, isn't it? It's like once I've got my needs from this, area, I'm going to go. And I suppose we haven't had a chance today to look in depth as to how sticky it is, the experiences once we're in them. But yeah, it's quite surface level.
Also,
Yeah.
they're not really guiding you down that path. So if you go to the bit above it, it says like sort of select the path that means the most to you or something like that. It's the bit there. Yeah, based on what you're looking for, choose a path below. They're not really guiding you to see what you might be looking for. So maybe even here they could have like a little quick survey, answer these 5 questions, and we'll tell you
Yes.
the community that's going to be correct for you as a result of it, because that at least leads you into it if this is the style they want to go with. But there's no kind of customer journey from the start, like holding your hand and walking you into the room, like we often like to think of the onboarding experience as.
Yes. Well, and I think this taps into like my greater hesitancies with Notion as a tool, is it can feel really busy. And so I come to this page and immediately there's 9 call to actions in the first.
Yeah.
But I love your idea, Laura, of put a little like quiz or a little survey to help better understand like who is the person coming to this page, what are they looking for, and help guide them along that journey. I like that. I guess they're trying to help regardless of how you're coming to this page. Notion, typing in Notion community is like really broad. So I understand that they're trying to serve a lot of people coming here. But I think that they could, I think it would be a lot simpler if there was, if they had one like main Notion community. I think that would solve a lot of this confusion. And then you could say, hey, we have like all of these micro communities that might be a better fit for you, but let's get you started in the main community where we can really thoughtfully guide your process and onboard you. And I would include surveys to understand exactly who that person is, what they need. I would have different onboarding flows. If their survey spits out this, they get this experience in the community. If it's over here, they get this experience. But there's so much opportunity to segment their audience. And
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very interesting. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go, Derek.
I think like when I'm looking at this page and when I'm just like, when we scroll down here, right, it basically feels like there's an assumption that I need to know how to use Notion like decently well, and I need to know everything that everything about their ecosystem. Like Madeline, you said that they had 30 million users. Like, okay, so if I knew that before going to this page, then I would probably need to know that they probably have a lot of micro communities then, right? But if I didn't know that though, and I was just like come to this page without having any of that context, it's like, where do I go?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the case when it comes to like any new community that we join in general, right? Like if we're brand new, we're there, like our experience is going to be pretty, it's going to be like a wide experience. It'll be broad, right? In terms of like the things that we think are possible in a community or the things that are offered in a community. But once we like, I guess, get to know the community more, we'll start to like meet our people and like maybe we'll have our groups within the community and all that kind of stuff, which makes sense. But it feels like when I'm coming here, it's like, no, like I'm actually exposed to all of like the micro communities and all of that stuff first before like understanding why am I even like looking at an Notion community? Why am I even interested in this? Like, why am I even here in the first place? So it's something like I just kind of get this feeling when I'm looking at this.
Yeah, I also think that they're missing a trick. I might be speaking incorrectly here, but I don't believe that any of the onboarding, like, before, when you just join Notion at the get-go, I don't think you get any sort of sense of there being so many communities and so much help and support, because I don't think I've got any communications from Notion since I signed up, a few months ago, to tell me about any of this amazing stuff. And when people are involved, anecdotally, people love this stuff. They love being part of this community or these communities. But again, it's just as a sort of average punter to actually find out about it is really quite difficult.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Madeline. I also, like, speaking as someone who's like been groping around in the dark with Notion, luckily I had friends and people who like have used it and have showed me their tricks. But I would almost, in addition to your survey idea, Laura, the first call to action, if we really had to condense it down, even if it was like just an onboarding call that was like, maybe it's member led, maybe one of your ambassadors lead these like welcome calls where you can get to know people and like they can help point you in the right direction. Because to me, it seems like there's this inside of Notion people who like love it and like get it, but it takes like a little bit. And it seems like the four of us are saying like, hey, make it a little simpler for us. So even if you could connect us to those people in an event or have an onboarding call or a recorded video or like anything to help us along the way here. But I mean, it feels like even just to dissect this community, we kind of can't. Like we would spend so much time clicking into all the different links that we can't. We've just made it the landing page.
Yeah. And it's like you said, like, I'm sure that they have so many people that are signing up for Notion every single day. So like maybe it's like a video, like a Loom video or something like that says, hey, like, you're here for the first time. These are some of the things that you can do right away with Notion, whether it's like quickly creating some type of landing page or quickly creating like a little knowledge base or just like maybe one or two like templates or easy things that you can do right away in Notion and guided through that Loom video. And then from there, it's like, maybe there's a video of like, hey, did you know that there are a lot of Notion communities that exist? This is where you can find them. This is, like, you know what I mean? Like there's a Loom video based on that and guiding people on how they can find people to help them use Notion in different ways or whatever it might be. So I think that'd be a great idea. And hopefully it's like a low, it doesn't take too much resource to do something like that. And I think it could go a long way in guiding people into just Notion in general.
Yeah, just think what they could achieve if they actually did in even a tiny bit of this stuff. Like it would just give them so much potential out there, really, just by tweaking it a bit.
Exactly.
Agreed. Okay, awesome.
Great.
Well, y'all, I think we had some good nuggets here. Thank you all for joining. I think to wrap it up, I would, if I had to condense all of this down, I'd say simplify and give me a way to join the community. I hate to make it so basic, but I think from the Notion perspective, they're clearly doing a lot of things right, but there's a lot of little tweaks that they could make to make the experience easier for dummies like us, who are just figuring it out. All right. Let's see. Thank you all for joining, and I hope you see us next week on Community Dissection. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Lovely to see you. Bye.